What is going on, Toronto Raptor fans? Holy macaroni, what a disastrous nightmare we just witnessed for the Phoenix Suns. I mean, what is going on with this team? These guys are supposed to be title contenders at the beginning of the year. They're, I don't even know what place they're in, actually. Can I possibly pull that up quick enough? Yes, NBA standings. We have the Phoenix Suns. Oh, unfortunately, I've got it here by overall. Hold on, let me go by conference so I can see whether they're in the playoffs or not. The Phoenix Suns, yeah, they're not even in the play-in right now. They're in 11th place. They're just barely ahead of San Antonio, who has no coach and recently no Wembanyama. Wow, behind the Kings, behind the Warriors. Warriors are on their way up since they made that trade for Jimmy Buckets. Anyways, wow, Toronto Raptors pull out a butt kicking, an ass whooping, 127 to 109. What a game. I mean, it's so funny watching. Chris Boucher came in the second quarter. We ended up 29-25 at the end of the first quarter, but we beat them 38 to 27 in the second quarter to take a crazy lead into halftime. Um, and yeah, it was Boucher that came out and really helped propel them to that lead in the second quarter. And as the third quarter was going along and Phoenix was starting to catch up because they outscored us 30 to 21 in that third quarter, I was laughing, thinking, oh, the Raptors really are tanking because why would you not bring Boucher in? I had it all planned out. My thumbnail was going to be Ferme la Boucher. But I didn't get that chance because, man, he brought him in for the fourth quarter, and Boucher had a game 23 points off the bench. That three at the end was the nail in the coffin. And talk about threes, RJ Barrett. Oh my gosh, this man, I might have to stop saying he's becoming my favorite Raptor and just admit that he is my favorite. This guy's the man. He's the most consistent player on the team. I should get back to Boucher just for 2 seconds. Sorry, hang on. Before we move on to RJ, Boucher 3 of 5 from 3 point range, 9 of 12 overall from the field. Like, talk about efficiency. This guy's giving you some crazy minutes off the bench. 20 minutes and 23 points. That's what I love about Boucher. I've been a champion of Boucher's, for years. Last year, I didn't know what was going on, how he ended up in the doghouse with Darko. This year, they seem to have come to some understanding, and I will say that he's little more effective, more efficient. Um, he's even getting, well, he only got a couple assists, but 10 rebounds. Like, wow, what an all-around balanced game, a plus 17 overall on the plus minus. Just amazing. Mr. Boucher, and it's kind of good. I'm glad that nobody took him. He's a real trade, candidate for at the trade deadline there because he's an expiring contract. I always fantasize when we give away someone on an expiring contract, they're gonna, come back to the Raptors as a free agent. But who knows what could have happened? So now that he's on the Raptors, I hope that it was them, trying to demand more than what the market was willing to give up. Because of course, if you're not watching him night in, night out, you're not going to really necessarily know the value of a guy like Boucher. But I like him being in that role of the backup center instead of Mogbo, even though Mogbo got 20 minutes in this one. Um, but without Yakupurtl, I mean, it's shocking that we can even pull out a win. Actually, but it's just proving that this team's core is pretty solid, and if we can figure out what's happening off the bench and who exactly the lineup's going to be, get a little more consistency from them or consistency from the minutes, because I think Boucher has been consistent this whole time. But yeah, wow, it just shows what the Raptors can do. And so, yeah, you got a guy like RJ Barrett, as I went to talk about earlier. He only had 23 in this one, where he had 29 in the last game, but still 23. Sorry, 8 of 12 from the free throw line and 3 of 6 from 3 point range. But his three that he hit were just the daggers. They were all at the end of the game. Phoenix had sort of made it, as I said, we dominated after the halftime. The third quarter got close, and then even we had leads in the fourth, and then we'd let it get back down to 5 points, and it was down to five or maybe even four. Um, and RJ just started working like it was. Nice playmaking. I think Quickley maybe hit the first three, or maybe even had two back-to-back threes, and then he came down and just found RJ open. Dagger, 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 three in a row, and then the final nail in the coffin, as I said, was RJ coming in. So you got the floor space because everyone's anxious about all these threes that are raining down on them. RJ decides to beat the guy because he gave him a little bit of a gap, or sorry, I mean, came in tighter with less of a gap, trying to cover him because he's going to shoot another three. They're thinking he blows by him, but the help defender came over and he just nonchalantly passed it over to Boucher, who was so open because that was the help defender that came. Boucher just there wasn't even any spin on the ball. I watched the on the instant replay. It was just such a beautiful, perfect 3-point shot. He did a little dance because he was feeling it because he had already done a couple nice defensive moves and a couple little layups in the paint that were contested, and he was rocking. Like, God. Anyway, RJ, consistency is what we need in this team, and the reason why I think we should be tanking. So I'm kind of, again, weirdly upset that we won, but still, always nice to see a Raptor victory. I do want the team to try. I do want the team to win where they can. I do want, you know, to encourage a winning culture. But if that's at the expense, I mean, we're fifth right now. I actually had it up earlier. Let me see if I still do. Yeah, I do. Draft odds, because I know on my last video I was talking about this. I actually pulled them up. We currently are at 10.5% odds to get Cooper Flag as the number one, assuming Masai picks Cooper Flag. They do sometimes zig when or zag, I guess, when everyone thinks they're going to zig. Scotty Barnes example instead of picking Suggs. Um, but yeah, we got a 10.5% chance, and it's not that much worse than the 14% that the worst, second worst, and third worst teams end up getting at 14%. And then if you are fourth last, you got a 12.5% chance, and then it's 10.5 for the fifth last team, which is where we currently are. But as we discussed, we have a little bit of a problem in that we have the easiest schedule for the rest of the year. So do we, if we drop down to sixth worst, it's 9%. That's not that much harder to get first than being fifth, 1.5%. But it really starts dropping off from there. Seventh at 7.5, then it goes down to six, then to 4.5, then to three, and then your odds are almost none. If you, the more you move up from there. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We're already here. Like, we almost need an injury, but I understand at the same time we don't want an injury because, man, looking at the future of this team, even Scotty Barnes, who I've been critical of, taking threes, he seems to have calmed down with just jacking them up. Luckily, he's more sort of waiting till he's a little more open and the flow properly comes to him and he's open for three. He was 2 of 3 from three today, which is obviously 66%, pretty sweet. And he was more efficient from the field, 8 of 14. So that's what we need to see from this guy because sometimes he just gets a little crazy, jacking them up, um, from all over the place. Even that's the one thing you could maybe criticize RJ early. He was clanking a few shots. He was only 6 of 15 from the floor, but 8 of 12 from the free throw line. I mean, this guy gets to the line. Just great because we don't really have another player that drives to the basket like this man. And sometimes at crunch time tonight we didn't need it because we were ahead by so much. Actually, we're garbage minutes, and AJ and a bunch of other people came off the bench and got to actually play a little bit. Even Jared Roden, I don't even know who that is. I was looking at the jersey going, Jared Roden? Who is this guy? He must be someone that we just did a little shuffle when we grabbed Battle and gave him a contract, and we picked up Orlando Robinson and gave him an actual contract. I think we ditched one of our other two-way guys and then ended up with an open spot once we traded. Oh my God, who was our Mitchell? Davian Mitchell. So anyway, yeah, we had a sighting of those two making the floor because it was such a butt kicking. So we didn't have to see crunch time where Scotty Barnes goes ISO and loses the ball, trying to score, and then we come on here and start ranting that why did they not give it to RJ because he's the one that can actually get downhill and score. Um, But speaking of Orlando Robinson too, he's getting better. I don't know if he's getting his feel. I don't really know that much about what he did where he was before, um, and why we obtained. I mean, I know why we obtained him. We needed a better backup center because Bruno Fernando or whatever wasn't cutting it, and our guy Chimichupa, whatever the heck his name is, that's not on here, and it's escaped me, of course, because that's what happens every time I go to reference someone. He is 2 years away from being 2 years away. He's like the Bruno Consolo, whatever guy that we had for a while that they kept joking was 2 years away from being 2 years away. But he's a young guy. He's literally the youngest player in the entire NBA. So I think we can give him a little bit of slack and, expect some growth. He really seems to have some hops, and the guy's a giant. He's one of the 7 footers. So anyway, but he's not quite there yet. So we needed Robinson as a backup center because I don't love Mogbo, and with Jakob Poeltl hurt, we needed someone in there. So he had one of the knocks against big guys. Obviously, his free throws. This guy was 4 of 4 from the line. He did try a three again. I don't know why. Last game he was 1 for 3, and I don't know why he's shooting threes. It makes me crazy when you have a big man that can't shoot threes. It would be like them passing it to me to try and shoot a three. And like, why are you doing it? My percentage is what, 20 or less? Like Orlando Robinson, what could he possibly be shooting from three? I bet you it's even worse than 20, actually. But here he's taking one again. He's 0 for 1. He might have been open, but again, there's no reason why you're open. I heard a funny story from White Chocolate. He was on, God, what is the name of their podcast? Flagrant 2, I think. Um, and yeah, it's funny. He was talking about a guy on his team that was always open in the corner, and every huddle he'd be like, "Yo, I'm open, I'm open. You got to get it to me, I'm open." And then he said he heard him crying a couple of the timeouts in a row, and then he said the third one, I just couldn't take it anymore. He's saying it again, and I was like, "Listen, there's a reason that you're open, all right? There's a reason. So I'm not giving you the ball. You can't hit your three from the corner." He goes, "You want to shoot? You go in and get an offensive rebound, and then you could shoot anytime you want if you get the rebound anyway." Pretty funny. So I feel a little bit like Orlando Robinson is in a similar position. I mean, dude, if you're in a pick and roll situation where you're rolling to the rim and you're open, obviously you got the height advantage. Maybe there's a mismatch because you've got to switch on defense or something like that. Great. Take a shot then. But really, yeah, clean up the garbage, put backs, offensive rebounds for layups. That's your role. You're there more as a defensive rim protector and because he doesn't quite have the skills, and he's certainly not a Jokic or a Wembanyama or even a Joel Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns that can actually shoot threes, being that tall. So, Mr. Dick didn't have the best game, which kind of sucks. Um, 9 points again. See, this is what I'm talking about with the consistency. I think he's going to get better. In the up and coming whatever game they call that at the All Star game, the Future Stars, I think is what it is. He led his team in scoring with 12, and as I said last time, I think that he was more comfortable there. I don't know if he's anxious or nervous. He seems to be running around like a madman. He can't seem to get open quick enough, and it's so weird because RJ Barrett seems to get the ball, at the 3 point line, and he just jacks it up, even when there is a defender there. Grady Dick always seems to be trying to catch and then dribble. Now, obviously, the defenses on the other team, I suppose, when Grady Dick was putting up 30 points earlier in the year, maybe they really are just watching them and saying, "Look, the 3 point shot is such a threat," because obviously that's why the whole league gets flipped to this. They realize the percentages if you can, be 30% from three or around even 30. I think it's even like 28, 29. That actually outscores high 40s to 50% from twos. So maybe they're just, he's on the scouting report and they're just ready for him. But from three, he was 3 of 4, but I just find he doesn't get enough of them off. Because he is that dangerous, but he's constantly sort of having to either pass it again because he gets the ball and then tries to do a little step, but the defender's right there. But I just think there's a little bit of maybe him being able to get over. Maybe he needs a little quicker step back or something, and not necessarily just the side shuffle. But still, Love Dick, love Dick. I love Dick all day long. And I don't think that we should be giving up on him. I do think that he's the one that's going to be riding the pine a little more, at least as a starter, when Brandon Ingram gets healthy and comes back. Although I was on my other podcast this morning, Raptors in Black and White, and if you do not subscribe to that one, please check out. I'll put a little link in the description to that. My buddy from when I don't know what the heck, when did we meet? Grade six, grade seven. Um, he's actually at the game tonight, but he had a starting lineup with Ingram where he had Yakapurtle out, which I don't know if he just forgot about Yakapurtle or if he actually believes that we should try this lineup. It sounds interesting because his defense of it was that he thinks that Yakapurtle sometimes is tired and red in the face. He called him lobster, um, lobstery, that late in the game, and so he's like, no, if he didn't start, they could shave 2-3 minutes off of his, his minutes in the game, and he'll be fresher for the end of the game. Interesting. I think I'd be curious to see that at least. Is Brandon Ingram long enough? I thought I saw somewhere that he's only 6'9", which again maybe that's not true. Again, I should look that up, but it'll take me too long to do that right now. But still, yeah, Brandon Ingram at center, and then Scotty staying as power forward. RJ is still as the small forward, and then you got he had Dick as the shooting guard and Emmanuel Quickley as the point guard. What am I to say? I mean, if we were going small, that could be a lineup out there for sure. I think we're going to end up with Grady coming off the bench and providing more scoring and helping to space the floor for the second unit. Because then you got Agbaji, in the corner shooting corner threes. You got Grady around the perimeter, moving around without the ball, and then cutting maybe once in a while when it makes sense. Um, I guess Boucher, I think, is a power forward. Maybe they keep Orlando Robinson as the backup center. I don't know. I like Boucher playing that backup center role, and that would be really good if he could. But they love this Mogbo dude, and I still don't know where the heck Jacoby Walter, fits in, and no battle in the game either. And I don't really understand it. This guy is a 3-point sniper. I think we should be giving him some minutes. He didn't even make it into garbage time. Maybe he's hurt. Maybe he played in the 905. Again, too much information. I don't know. But yeah, wow. Overall, unbelievable game. Raptors win. Raptors pummel the Phoenix Suns, which I love. I gotta say, I love. I mean, yeah, I'm a Raptor fan. I'm a full out basketball fan, obviously, but Raptors first. Raptors number one. Um, I started out as a Detroit Piston fan because we didn't have a team, and that was the first game I ever went to. Then definitely I migrated over to the Bulls. But come on, since the Raptors have had a team, you know, born and raised in the center of the universe, it's so nice to see these teams that they think they're going to do it. Like they think they're going to go, and the smart move is to get Beal as your third guy for your big three, and you trade away some of your depth to get him. It's so ridiculous to think like that. I don't understand what's in some of these GMs' mind. I was watching Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith and oh my God! Of course, we know the host anyway. The Inside NBA show that TNT does, and I hope you can't hear my dogs barking. Um, and I'm not talking about my feet. They were talking about that Philly thinking that they were contenders when they signed Paul George to a max contract, and like Paul George had 2 points the other day. Oh my God, I love it. I love it because I hate Philly. I love seeing them underperform. I even sort of like that Luca is kind of in limbo. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not so silly enough that I think that Luca's done or washed or anything. I'm imagining that his injury is probably a little worse than people thought, and he's just coming back from it, so he needs to recover. But they seem to be a little bit messed up too. Although LeBron's going bananas, he had 40 as a 40-year-old the other day, and he just keeps stacking up his stats so that someday in the very, very, very future, people will look back and just look at stats and they'll go, wow, this guy LeBron is better than Jordan, even though they haven't actually compared apples to apples and understand that, the dog that was in Jordan, and the fact that he never lost when he went to the final, and the fact that he was three-peated twice, and he probably would have got all 8 of those in a row had he not been busted for gambling and forced out of the game and forced to go play baseball for a couple of years. Where I still can't believe people say that he left the game. Come on, guys, let's be real. The man just won 3 back-to-back-to-back champions. You think he's going to leave the game to go try his hand at baseball? Let's be real. He got busted gambling, and they didn't want to embarrass him because he was basketball at that point. Anyway, now I'm just rambling off on other tangents, but Toronto Raptors 127 to 109. Thank you so much for sticking around this long in the video. I really appreciate it. It actually helps me. I had some little fireworks the other day behind the scenes on my YouTube analytics, which is just so cool to see. People are sticking around longer in the video. My duration of view is expanding. My subscribers went up. I'm actually at 70. So pretty please, if you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't even have to watch the videos, although it would help if you could maybe just click one, before you go into bed, turn the sound down, let it play through. That, again, will help me out. Share it with a friend. And Mr. Beast for president. And we will see you guys next Raptor game, which quickly is Boston on Tuesday. So see you next Tuesday. Later.